There are moments in your life when your chest tightens, your breath shortens, and something deep within you screams, this isn't right. That's not fear. That's your soul trying to guide you. We've all felt it. That quiet voice inside when everyone else is yelling in the opposite direction. That gut feeling you get when you're around someone fake. When an opportunity feels too good. When something inside tells you to walk away or run faster toward your destiny. You can lie to everyone else. You can post your highlights, smile in the photos, wear the mask, but you can't lie to yourself. You know when you're being played. You know when you're not giving 100%. And you damn sure know when the path you're on is not the one you were born for. But most people ignore that voice. Why? Because it's uncomfortable. It demands change. It demands courage. But your gut is your internal compass. It is ancient, raw, real. When you feel it, don't ignore it. It's trying to save your life, your time, your purpose. People regret a lot in life, but no one regrets trusting their gut when it mattered most. There's a particular feeling that creeps into your chest when you're around someone who doesn't serve your spirit. It's subtle at first. You feel it in your stomach, a tightening, a restlessness. It's like your soul is shrinking in the presence of someone who doesn't carry truth in their energy. You laugh when they joke, you nod when they talk, you play along with the game, but inside, something is off. You know it, you feel it. That's not paranoia. That's not drama. That's your body trying to warn you, this person is not who they pretend to be. You don't always have proof. You don't always have a reason that you can point to with logic. But that gut instinct, that is your inner radar. It has been shaped by years of experience, pain, betrayal, intuition, and observation. It's screaming for a reason. Fake people wear masks. They speak in compliments, but behind their words, there's envy. They act friendly, but their eyes don't lie. They stay close to you, not because they care, but because they want to know your steps, your weaknesses, your next move. Some people want to be near you, not to support you, but to compete with you silently, to copy you quietly, or to watch you fail. The moment they feel you rising, their energy shifts. They start making backhanded comments. They don't celebrate you the same way. They speak more about you than to you. And yet, you keep them around. You tell yourself you're overreacting. You try to keep the peace. But deep down, you know, you don't feel safe around them. And if you don't feel safe, you're not wrong. You're wise. Toxic people don't always scream or hit or manipulate in loud, obvious ways. Sometimes toxicity comes disguised as charm, as passive-aggressive jokes, as someone who plays the victim every time you confront them. They drain you, not just with their words, but with their energy. After every interaction, you feel exhausted. You second-guess yourself. You feel guilty for setting boundaries. You find yourself adjusting your behavior just to keep them calm, just to avoid confrontation. That's not friendship. That's not love. That's emotional captivity. And the longer you stay, the more you lose pieces of yourself trying to maintain the connection. Your gut is not emotional weakness. It is ancient wisdom. It remembers what your mind chooses to forget. It picks up on the shifts in tone, the subtle shade in their words, the way their support comes with conditions. It notices the way they only show up when it benefits them. It senses the jealousy behind the smiles. It detects the lies wrapped in sweet tones. The body always knows that sick feeling in your stomach when you leave a conversation with them, that tightness in your chest when they enter the room. That's not random. That's not anxiety. That's your intuition kicking in, trying to protect you before the damage becomes permanent. The truth is, you don't need a reason to walk away from energy that doesn't feel right. You don't need to wait for betrayal to prove you were correct. You don't need them to admit anything. Your instinct is the proof. You can love people from afar. You can wish them well without giving them access. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconnection. And self-respect doesn't require an explanation. The people who truly care about you will never make you feel confused about your place in their life. They won't make you feel like you're competing or like you have to prove your worth. Real ones make you feel grounded, secure, inspired. Fake ones make you feel anxious, small, and unsure of yourself. So many people ignore this instinct because they fear being alone. They fear being labeled too sensitive, too dramatic, too much. But what's worse, being misunderstood by others or being at war with yourself. Because when you suppress your truth to maintain a fake peace, you create chaos within. You begin to doubt yourself. You become numb. You tolerate things you once promised yourself you'd never accept. You abandon your own standards. That's the real danger. Not losing people, but losing you. Start trusting yourself again. Start honoring the whisper before it becomes a scream. Start walking away from anything that costs your peace. You are not required to entertain people who shrink your spirit. You are not obligated to explain your distance. You are not a villain for choosing to protect your energy. You get to decide who has access to you. And the people who belong in your life, you'll know. Your gut won't feel tight. You'll breathe easier around them. You'll laugh more. You'll feel seen, not judged. You'll feel safe, not small. That's your sign. That's your truth. That's what you deserve. So when your gut tells you something isn't right, listen. It might be uncomfortable. It might be lonely, but it is always worth it. Because ignoring your instincts for the sake of keeping someone around is the fastest way to lose your own peace, your own growth, and your own power. Don't let someone's fake light dim your real fire. You've worked too hard to let shadows sit at your table. You owe it to yourself to choose truth, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. There comes a point in your life where staying becomes heavier than leaving. You wake up tired, not because you didn't sleep enough, but because your soul is exhausted. You feel it in your body, in your bones, in the way your shoulders carry tension that won't go away. Maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's a job, maybe it's a friendship, a routine, a habit. But something in your life is draining you, silently killing your spirit day by day. And every time you think about walking away, that little voice inside you whispers, there has to be more than this. That's not weakness. That's not quitting. That's your truth rising up and begging to be heard. We're taught to stay. We're taught that endurance is noble, that loyalty is everything, that pushing through is a virtue. But what they don't tell you is that sometimes staying is the most dangerous decision of all. Because you can stay in something so long that you forget who you were before it. You can stay until you stop recognizing your own voice, your own dreams, your own power. You can stay until you become a version of yourself that only knows how to survive, but not how to live. The longer you stay in a place that drains you, the more it becomes your prison. And the scariest prisons are the ones you build for yourself, with excuses, fear, and a fake smile. The urge to leave is not always loud. Sometimes it's just a tired sigh at the end of the day. Or sometimes it's looking out the window and wondering what your life could have been. Sometimes it's scrolling through your phone hoping to feel something, anything other than this numbness. And sometimes it's a breakdown in your car because you can't fake it anymore. That urge to walk away isn't random. It's your body, your mind, your heart, and your soul trying to save you. Don't ignore it. Don't silence it. You weren't born to carry things that break you. You weren't meant to pour your energy into people or places that never pour back. You weren't created just to exist. You were created to thrive. But leaving isn't easy. That's the truth. Because even the things that drain us can feel familiar. And familiarity can be comfortable, even if it's killing us slowly. We convince ourselves it's not that bad. We minimize our pain. We justify their behavior. We tell ourselves we're being dramatic. But deep down, we know. Every time we choose to stay in something that's already dead, we bury ourselves alongside it. Every time we silence that urge to move on, we betray the part of us that still believes in better. And the longer you betray yourself, the harder it becomes to find your way back. People will try to guilt you. They'll call you selfish for choosing yourself. They'll remind you of the time and energy you've already invested. They'll try to make you feel ungrateful, like you should be thankful for even having what you're trying to walk away from. But don't let them write your story. They don't feel what you feel. They don't carry the weight you carry. Only you know what it's like to wake up every day feeling like you're slowly fading. Only you know how much strength it takes just to pretend everything's fine. So if your heart is telling you it's time to go, listen. That voice inside you is not the enemy. It's your compass. Ending something doesn't mean you failed. It means you're brave enough to stop settling. It means you're strong enough to choose growth over comfort. It means you've decided that your peace matters more than keeping up appearances. The truth is you can't bloom in places that poison you. You can't evolve in environments that keep you small. You can't create a future if you're chained to something that belongs in your past. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away with nothing but your dignity and start again. And yes, it will hurt. Yes, you will cry. Yes, you will question yourself. But one day, you'll look back and realize that walking away was the first step toward walking into the life you were always meant for. You are not obligated to stay where you are unhappy. You are not stuck. You are not trapped. The door is open. You just have to be willing to walk through it. Will it be scary? Absolutely. Will it be lonely at times? Yes. But freedom always comes with a price. And the price of staying too long in the wrong place is far greater than the cost of leaving. Because when you leave what drains you, you make space for what fills you. When you let go of what's breaking you, you make room for what will build you. You give yourself a chance to rediscover who you really are underneath all that pain, underneath all those years of pretending. So trust the urge. Don't suppress it. Don't bury it under guilt or fear. That urge to walk away is sacred. It's a lifeline. It's your higher self pulling you toward healing, toward wholeness, toward a life that actually feels like yours. You don't need permission. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need anyone to understand. You just need the courage to say, this is no longer for me, and the strength to act on it. Because the longer you wait, the heavier it gets. And you were never meant to live a life that makes you feel heavy every single day. There's a better chapter waiting, but you have to close this one first. The pain of ending is temporary. The pain of staying never ends. Choose your heart. Choose your truth. Choose you. There's a fire that lives inside you. Not a gentle warmth, but a roaring blaze that ignites every time you think about the life you truly want. You know the one, that dream you push down when you're trying to be realistic. That goal you only speak about when you're alone because you're afraid of sounding crazy. That vision that excites you so much it scares you. That's not fantasy. That's not delusion. That's your potential trying to break free from the chains of fear, doubt, and comfort. And when that fire speaks, when it burns in your gut and tells you take the risk, you better listen. Because that voice, that instinct, that is your soul screaming for freedom, for greatness, for more than just existing day to day. Most people will never understand it. They'll tell you to play it safe, to be grateful, to not rock the boat. They'll remind you of everything you could lose, of how hard it'll be, how unlikely it is. But they don't feel what you feel. They don't have to live with the regret that comes from ignoring that voice. Playing it safe might protect you from failure, but it will also rob you of your evolution. You were not born to shrink, to settle, to blend in. You were born to expand, to try, to build, to risk. Because without risk, there is no growth. Without stepping into the unknown, you'll stay trapped in a life that feels too small for the spirit you carry. The fire inside doesn't care about your comfort zone. It doesn't care about what makes sense on paper. It wants you to leap. It wants you to throw yourself into the unknown and trust that you'll figure it out. It's irrational. It's bold. It doesn't negotiate with fear. And that's why it's so powerful. That fire is what separates those who live a life of meaning from those who merely survive. It's what pushes you to send that email, start that business, leave that job, move to that city, speak your truth, ask for more. It's what gives you the courage to disrupt your entire life in the name of something better. And yes, it will scare you. It's supposed to. If the dream doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. Risk is uncomfortable. It's stepping into something without guarantees, without security, without a roadmap. But here's the truth. There is no safety in staying still. There's only the illusion of it. You think playing small protects you, but all it does is delay the pain of regret. Because 5, 10, 20 years from now, you'll look back and realize the real risk was not chasing the thing that lit your soul on fire. Every successful person you admire, every leader, artist, innovator, creator, they all felt the fear, but they moved anyway. They acted on the fire. They didn't wait until it was easy. They didn't wait for permission. They bet on themselves. They took risks others were too scared to take. That's why they're where they are. Not because they were lucky or special, but because they trusted the fire. And now it's your turn. Stop asking if you're ready. You'll never feel 100% ready. Readiness is a myth. No one is ever fully prepared for their next level. You grow into it by moving toward it. Action creates clarity. Movement builds momentum. Every time you hesitate, the fire dims just a little. And the longer you ignore it, the more your life starts to feel like someone else's. You begin to live by default instead of design. That's how dreams die, not with a bang, but with silence, avoidance, and comfort. But it's not too late. That fire is still there. It never really goes out. It might flicker. It might get buried under layers of self-doubt, responsibility, and fear, but it's still burning. You feel it when you're alone. You feel it when you watch others doing what you wish you had the guts to do. You feel it when your heart aches for something more. That's your chance. That's your window. That's your call to act. And understand this. Taking a risk doesn't mean being reckless. It means choosing growth over fear. It means betting on yourself, even when the odds don't look perfect. It means believing that your vision is worth fighting for, even if nobody else gets it yet. It's doing the thing that makes your chest tighten in your pulse race, because deep down, you know it's your path. The real failure is not falling. The real failure is never trying. Your comfort zone will kill you slowly. It will make your life quiet, easy, and empty. You weren't born for easy. You were born for impact. And that requires risk. That requires fire. That requires you to wake up one day and say, I don't know how and I don't know what's going to happen, but I have to try. I owe it to myself. So whatever that thing is, the project, the leap, the conversation, the decision, do it. Start messy, start scared, start broke, start alone if you have to, but start. Don't wait for validation. Don't wait for timing. Don't wait until you feel fearless, because that day may never come. But courage is doing it scared. That's where you grow. That's where you transform. That's where you meet the version of yourself who doesn't just dream, but builds. No one else is coming to live your life for you. No one is going to hand you your dream. You have to go out and take it. You have to move like you believe in something bigger than your excuses. Like you believe that what's inside you matters, because it does. That fire you feel, it's not random. It's not a coincidence. It's direction, and it's time to follow it. There's a whisper inside you. It comes in the quiet moments, when you're alone in your room, staring at the ceiling, when the world is finally silent and the noise of everyone else's opinions fades into the background. It's not loud. It doesn't scream, or it doesn't demand your attention. But it's persistent, and it says you deserve more. You hear it when you're working a job that drains your energy but barely pays your bills. You hear it in the middle of a relationship that feels more like obligation than love. You hear it when you're surrounded by people but still feel deeply alone. That whisper isn't ego. It's not greed. It's the raw, honest truth of your soul reminding you that this isn't it. It's the version of you that remembers what it's like to dream without limitation. The part of you that knows you were born with potential too big to live in mediocrity. It's your truth trying to break through the numbness you've accepted as normal, because somewhere along the way, you settled. You convinced yourself this was enough, that what you have is fine, that being grateful meant staying quiet, that wanting more made you ungrateful. But that's the lie you were sold to keep you from rising. Real gratitude and ambition can exist together. You can be thankful for what you have and still know in your heart that it's not your final chapter. The whisper says you deserve more, because you do. Not more in a selfish, materialistic way, but more in a soul way. More peace, more purpose, more connection, more love that feels safe and true. More mornings where you wake up excited, not dreading the day ahead. More environments that reflect who you truly are, not the version you've been pretending to be just to survive. You deserve more than just getting by. You deserve to feel alive. But the world conditions you to ignore that voice. You're told to play it safe, to be realistic, to not expect too much, to settle for whatever life hands you. And because of that, you silence your own truth. You start shrinking. You tell yourself stories to stay comfortable. This is just the way things are. I should be happy with this. At least it's not worse. But deep down, your soul knows. It knows when you're pretending. It knows when you've accepted less than your worth. That's why you feel that heaviness, that ache, that quiet sadness you can't quite name. That's the cost of ignoring the whisper. It shows up in the way you stay too long in places that make you feel small, in the way you downplay your own needs just to keep the peace, in the way you laugh at jokes that hurt, smile when you want to cry, agree when your heart says no. It shows up in the way you keep choosing people who don't choose you, in the way you keep chasing validation instead of building self-worth. And every time you ignore that whisper, it doesn't disappear. It just gets buried. Until one day, you wake up and realize you don't recognize yourself anymore. But here's the beautiful thing. The whisper never gives up on you. No matter how long you've silenced it, no matter how far you've drifted from your true self, it's still there, waiting. It doesn't yell, it doesn't punish, it simply reminds you deserve more. And the moment you decide to listen, really listen, everything begins to change. You start seeing things clearly. You realize how much of your life has been shaped by fear instead of desire. You begin to question the systems, the habits, the relationships that once felt unshakable. You start dreaming again. You start remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. Listening to that whisper isn't easy. It often requires hard choices, walking away from people who no longer align with your growth, leaving behind comfort for uncertainty, setting boundaries that might make others uncomfortable, dismantling the version of you that was built on people-pleasing, survival, and silence. But that is the price of freedom. That is the price of becoming who you were meant to be. And it's always worth it. Because the moment you honor that voice, life starts aligning in ways you never expected. You begin attracting people who speak your language, who see your worth without you having to prove it. You find opportunities you couldn't see when you were stuck in fear. You develop confidence, not because everything is perfect, but because you're finally living in integrity with your truth. That's what the whisper leads you to. Not just a better life, but a truer one. So ask yourself, what are you holding on to that's beneath you? What spaces are you shrinking to fit into? What are you tolerating out of fear of starting over? Who would you be if you stopped settling? What would your life look like if you finally believed that you deserve more? You don't have to have all the answers right now. You don't have to fix everything overnight, but you do have to start listening. That whisper is not your enemy. It's your guide. And it's not going anywhere because you were never meant for a life that just looks good on the outside. You were meant for depth, for alignment, for peace that doesn't require performance, for relationships that feel like home, for work that lights you up, or for joy that isn't conditional. You deserve the kind of life that doesn't require you to betray yourself to belong. You deserve to take up space, to dream unapologetically, to demand more not from a place of entitlement, but from the quiet knowing that you are meant for it. The whisper is calling. You've heard it for years. Maybe you buried it under responsibilities, pain, or fear, but it's still there, patiently waiting for the day you choose to rise, the day you stop making excuses, the day you stop believing you're too much for wanting more or not enough to have it, the day you look in the mirror and finally say, I deserve better than this. And when you say it, not just with your words, but with your choices, your entire world begins to shift because you are powerful, you are worthy. And you were never meant to settle for anything less than everything your soul is capable of becoming. So stop silencing the whisper. Let it grow louder. Let it move you. Let it change everything. There's an internal alarm in all of us. You felt it before, deep in your chest or tightening in your gut. The subtle yet sharp instinct that whispers, this is too easy. Something doesn't add up. It's that flicker of suspicion when an opportunity lands in your lap wrapped in shiny promises but demands nothing in return. It's the discomfort behind a smile that's too charming, the deal that sounds too perfect, the shortcut that skips the work but promises the reward. That alarm doesn't exist to ruin your momentum or dull your excitement. It exists to protect you, to wake you up, because sometimes when something seems too easy to be real, it is. In a world obsessed with quick wins and instant gratification, it's easy to fall for the bait. We're conditioned to chase hacks. Life-changing results in 7 days, 6 figures in 6 weeks, love that's instant, success that's effortless. The danger isn't just in being naive. It's in ignoring that subtle, sinking feeling that tells you something isn't right. That voice, your gut, isn't trying to hold you back. It's trying to slow you down long enough to think. Real success, whether in business, relationships, health, or self-worth, is earned. It's built through resistance, forged in trial, sharpened by failure. But we've been sold the lie that if something requires too much effort, it must not be meant for us. That's backwards. The truth is, if it comes without resistance, without struggle, without requiring your growth, that's when you should question it. That's when the alarm should ring the loudest. Because the world is full of people selling illusions, smoke and mirrors dressed up as opportunities. And if you're not grounded, if you're too desperate, too distracted, or too hopeful, you'll get caught chasing something that was never real to begin with. That alarm inside you is ancient. It's primal. It knows how to detect danger disguised as opportunity. It senses the predator energy in people who offer everything with no substance. It picks up on manipulation before your conscious mind does. It notices patterns, small red flags, subtle inconsistencies, promises that sound more like fairy tales than facts. That little whisper, that tension in your chest, or that twist in your gut, that is wisdom. Ignore it, and you end up paying the price, emotionally, financially, spiritually. We're so used to doubting ourselves, especially when we want something badly. We silence the alarm because we want to believe. We want the love story, the business breakthrough, the shortcut to the life we dream about. And so we override our instinct in favor of hope. But hope, when placed in the wrong hands, becomes a weapon. It blinds you. It convinces you that logic is negativity, that discernment is fear. And before you know it, you're knee-deep in a situation that looked like a blessing but turned into a lesson. The truth is, anything worth having will demand something of you. It will stretch you, challenge you, even hurt you at times. But it will also be real, solid, earned. And that's the difference. You can feel when something is genuine. It moves slowly, builds trust, shows consistency. There's depth to it. On the other hand, when something feels too perfect, too fast, too easy, you need to pause, ask questions, trust your skepticism, because that voice in your head saying, this doesn't feel right, might just be saving you from months or years of heartbreak, loss, or deception. In relationships, it shows up when someone mirrors you too perfectly, says all the right things, showers you with attention without truly knowing you. It feels amazing at first. like fate. But deep down, something doesn't quite settle. That's your alarm saying, look closer. Because real love takes time. It grows through vulnerability, not performance. Anyone who tries to bypass that process isn't offering love, they're offering control. In business, it's the promise of passive income with no effort. The pitch that guarantees success if you just pay now. The mentor who brags about their wins but never shows the work behind them. You hear the words, you see the lifestyle, but the foundation feels hollow. That's your cue to step back. Because if building a meaningful, sustainable life was that easy, everyone would be living it. But they're not. And that should tell you something. Even with yourself, you can sense when you're lying to your own growth, when you choose the easy path over the right one, when you make choices that avoid discomfort instead of walking through it. It might feel convenient at first, but your gut knows the difference between temporary ease and long-term fulfillment. And it will keep tapping you on the shoulder, reminding you, you're meant for more than this. The hard truth is that most people learn to trust the alarm only after getting burned, after the fallout, after the betrayal. But you don't have to wait for the damage to believe the signal. You can decide now that your instincts are not paranoia, they're protection. You're not being negative for questioning what's handed to you. You're being wise. The world will pressure you to say yes quickly, to move fast, to never question the hand that feeds you. But it takes real strength to slow down, to evaluate, to say something feels off and I'm going to listen to that. Because when you ignore the alarm, it doesn't go away. It just grows quieter, buried under the